This goal from Son Heung-Min was the perfect way to sum up that second half. Absolutely bonkers. Spurs are through to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Welcome back to the Bowman YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. We have got a lot to unpack from that game last night, especially from the second half. There's been a lot of chat around this game, a lot of chat from the pundits in the media, Jamie Carragher, etc., talking about Spurs' lack of control, lack of awareness of game state. And I want to rubbish that a little bit because I think some of the analysis in a negative sense was way overblown last night. And I really loved Ange Postecoglou's interview after the game. And we're going to talk about that as well. But we're going to talk about the goals, obviously. We're going to run through what I thought Spurs did well, what I thought we couldn't necessarily cope with from a United point of view in that first half. I certainly thought the first half was more even. I think the momentum of the game kind of shifted around the half-hour mark, and then obviously it continued into the first 15 minutes of the second half. We're going to talk about Archie Gray. Obviously, you guys will be able to tell that by the thumbnail. I thought he was absolutely superb, and he's just adapting to any challenge that comes his way. We're going to talk about Yves Bissouma and Djed Spence as well. We're going to talk about how Spurs actually did defend well under pressure after those mistakes from Fraser Forster, and we're going to talk about the total control that we had as well from around the 45th to the 60th minute. So let's get straight into it. Best place to start is the goals. I thought United probably had the better maybe of the first 10 minutes. Spurs did do some things well, but I wouldn't say the goal necessarily came against the run of play or anything like that. I just thought United were probably marginally the better team in the first 10. They settled well. I thought Eriksen was picking up some nice pockets. And to be fair, from a United point of view, I think there's a lot of stuff that United fans would have seen last night that they can be happy with and kind of take in to the next few games. Obviously, certainly the way they came back, it was obviously very self-inflicted from a Spurs point of view. But some of the passing patterns, some of the wing-back play as well, and Eriksen kind of picking up a lot of space. So I think there's a lot to be encouraged about. But also a lot to be encouraged about from a Spurs perspective, for sure. And Dominic Solanke is one of those players that every week is just getting better and better and better in this Spurs team. And he's getting the goals to really back up a lot of the praise that he's been getting from our fans, but not necessarily from the mainstream media. Free kick taken quickly, obviously, out to Son Heung-Min. And this is a really effective way to kind of be able to break down low blocks. Obviously, United are set up for a set piece here. But Pedro Porro, I've seen him do this a lot more this season. I think it's something that we Spurs fans called for. With our ability to shoot from range and the quality that we have got with certain players, just have a go. You know, if they're obviously sat in that deep block defending a set piece, or whether it's from open play or not, you're going to get these kind of rebound situations. And obviously Bayindir, second choice goalkeeper, a little bit shaky. Porro gives him a little tester, and he puts it straight into the path of Dominic Solanke. But if we just kind of wind it back a second, the movement from him is so underrated to be able to sort of sniff out that chance and get in there and finish it on the half volley like that as well. Is such a good underrated finish, and I was so pleased for him. You look at the last 3 goals that he scored for Spurs now, Dom. Obviously, the ones against Villa, he were 2 proper centre-forwards goals, getting on the end of a good move and the little dink over the goalkeeper. But the goal against Chelsea, I loved. A little bit of movement in the box, poachers goals, and we saw 2 really good goals last night. And I think his confidence is just getting better and better and better every week. Spurs go 1-0 up, but I thought there were some issues that we did have in that first half, and I think we saw some similar stuff to maybe what we saw against Roma, where I think when a team sets up against us with wing-backs, I think we kind of find it quite hard to defend against. I mentioned Christian Eriksen, obviously, before, picking up a lot of space in deeper positions, spraying the ball out wide to Dalot there, gets in behind. Porro defends it well. But United were picking up space in those wide areas. Eriksen again here picking up space in the central position and able to play that first-time ball out wide to Bruno Fernandes that time, who gets it across the face of goal. I think it's good defending, actually, here from Archie Gray. A good box defending. He gets across Højlund, stops him from getting there, or kind of limits his ability to get there. And again here, I thought this was another thing where Mazraoui, there was a couple of times in that first half where he was able to really pick up this little pocket of space here a little bit too easily, and then United are able to switch, and again they're able to kind of create these little cutback situations. Here, Eriksen running onto it. He had a couple of them, but Anthony had this shot. So I thought United did well, and I thought they kind of exposed our vulnerability of defending a little bit narrow, especially on down their left-hand side, our right-hand side. But I think the momentum in that first half definitely switched around the 30-minute mark, and I thought we kind of really sort of took control of the game. In the ground, I wasn't too pleased with our first half performance, but kind of watching it back, I think we had a bit more control than I initially thought, because it seemed like United were getting in. They were getting in behind us a couple of times. I think those in the ground were probably a little bit more frustrated maybe with the first half performance than... Because I put out a tweet at half-time saying I thought United probably deserved to be level. They hadn't really had any clear-cut chances, but I think they'd probably were maybe could be the happier of the two sides, maybe. But I think watching it back on reflection, I'm not sure I agree with that now. But I think the momentum definitely switched 30 minutes into the game. Bissouma was a big part of that. I think he had a great game. Out of possession, I thought he was absolutely superb in that first half. But we really just took control of it. Some lovely play down this left-hand side. James Maddison came into it a little bit more after that half-hour mark as well. I don't want to say, I hate saying this about players, and I've given Maddison a lot of praise, but it wasn't like he was hiding in those first 30 minutes. I don't think he was getting himself into good enough pockets of space to receive the ball. He was kind of just drifting through the game, but I think he sort of really came alive from this point. And I think a lot of it came when he sort of started to hug this left-hand touchline a little bit more and allowed Sonny to come inside. Saw some really nice combination play. Maddison into Sonny. Solanke, brilliant hold-up play. Just excellent all-round game again yesterday. And we were able to drive at them from the left to the right. Let me just hide myself here. Kulusevski coming inside. And what we did well here was, even if we weren't able to kind of get anything from those kind of moves, when United would clear the ball, we were able to retain that pressure. Bissouma getting in there, winning the ball back. Sarr winning it back. Kulusevski then being able to drive. And okay, we lose the ball there, but again, we'd always be able to win it back. I thought our out-of-possession work a lot of the time in that first half was pretty good. Again, Maddison dropping that little bit deeper here to get the ball. Spurs just taking the sting at the game and playing through. I love this from James Maddison. This is what I really love to see from him. Again, dropping deep, demanding the ball, and it invites so many United. I thought United pressed really aggressively in that first half. It invites a lot of United players onto him. So you've got that front four of Højlund, Eriksson, Yoro pushing up from centre-back, and Anthony there as well. Then you've got Ugarte and Lindelof and Fernandes are all kind of in Spurs' final third here. And you look at Pedro Porro at the top of the screen now with his arm up. Maddison finds that pass, and look how many players you've taken out of the game, and you're running at that back four. It wasn't the best ball from Porro, but I thought that's what Spurs really started to do well. They started to really invite United onto us and create more space. And again here, Bayindir collects the ball, but Spurs are straight in there to win it back. Djed Spence aggressive in the press, winning that ball back. Maddison picking up the second ball into Son. Again, lovely play. We saw this so much with Kulusevski. He obviously had that chance from the free kick where he kind of drifted into this sort of position on the left-hand side of the penalty area. But we've seen that so much with Deki. If we go to his average position, he'll probably be able to tell us a bit more. But again, you see here, the fullbacks keeping the width and allowing Deki and Son to kind of come inside. So Deki can still get into a lot of the areas where he'd be getting into if he was a number 10. I really like that, again, from Kulusevski last night, popping up in so many of these positions. Again, lovely flick around the corner to Son. Bit of a scramble here, but Spurs were able to get it and nearly force an own goal situation there with Ugarte. But again, Spurs winning the ball back high up here with Spence into Bissouma, away from his man and driving through and onto the edge of the box. Son gets a shot away, it's blocked. But Spurs just really took control of that first half from this period on. Drags in there into Solanke, dropping deeper, brilliant hold-up play into Bissouma. I love this from Bissouma. We're going to talk about his game in a little bit more detail shortly, but that little drop of the shoulder and finds his man on the left-hand side. Spence making that run. Brilliant from Maddison here. You can see that front four with Spence, Solanke, Maddison, and I think that's Porro or Kulusevski coming off that right-hand side. But look at the position that Maddison picks up. Poor touch kind of lets him down here, but again, Spurs pick up the second ball, and we're suffocating Manchester United. We're able to hit them on the break when we do win the ball back in the middle of the park. We're able to kind of play through them when we draw them on to press us from this point, but we're also just suffocating them in terms of our ability to win the ball back. And again here, just keeping it nicely. Maddison picking up spaces between the lines now, getting a bit more confident inside to Kulusevski. Work it back to Son on the edge of the box, work it through to Deki, and the keeper grabs it. So I thought that was really good from Spurs towards the end of the first half, but I thought there were issues maybe in sort of the first two-thirds of it, or first half of it, certainly, before that point. But I want to talk about Yves Bissouma, because I thought I've been really critical of Bissouma, because I know how good he can be. But if we get the Bissouma that we saw last night on a really consistent basis, then he is a top player. It's just that we don't see it enough, you know. But here, so aggressive to win that ball back off Anthony. I thought he did that so well in terms of tracking those two number 10s in Fernandes and Anthony, certainly in that first half. And then Spurs can run and they can drive and they're away. Again here, Dragusin gets in there. Bissouma just there to pick up the second ball and mop it up. Again here, higher up the pitch. Sarr wins that ball back. Bissouma brings it down into Sarr, and Sarr can then get away and then play Son in. Bissouma and Sarr, I thought, worked really hard and played really well yesterday for the most part. But again, Spurs are able to go and nick the ball back with Bissouma just filling in there, intercepting, and Spurs can run at them. And that's where we get the free kick from that leads to the first goal by Maddison being fouled. And then again here, Bissouma in a more defensive situation. Again, I talked about United maybe getting luck with pushing their wing-backs on. They had a few of these cutback opportunities, but Bissouma's in there to block. Spurs work it up the pitch here, but again, Bissouma in to intercept it. Just picking up every single loose ball. Gray down to Spence down the channel. Kulusevski, like I said, again, kind of getting into these little left channel positions, running beyond Solanke, running inside of Son, drives into the box. Spurs lose it there, but Bissouma in again to just mop it up, and Spurs can recycle going back to Gray into Maddison, and we can play out with some lovely football there into Spence, and we can drive at them. But I thought it was great from Spurs from sort of 30, 35 minutes onwards, and I think Bissouma had a big part to play in that. And then, of course, we come out flying out the traps in that second half and get 2 goals and completely take control of the game. Clearance from United here. Spence there to intercept. And again, he wants to drive into these central positions. Gets a bit fortunate here. But again, Solanke dropping that little bit deeper, dragging those centre-backs out with him, dragging that defensive line from United higher to create that space in behind. Evans can't get to him. Agate can't get to him. Eriksson can't get to him. Spence takes over out wide. And this is what I preferred from Maddison as well. He was making a lot more of these little runs in the second half. He just really came into it a lot more from 30 minutes onwards and gets that overlapping run. Cut back. It's poor from Martinez, but Kulusevski, again, getting in these kind of situations. And if we kind of take it back here, look at where he starts this move. He's able to peel inside because we've got that width with Porro. Obviously, he's a little bit deeper, but Kulusevski there kind of playing as a second striker, as we've seen him do a lot. Again, he's probably our most advanced player when you look at the average positions. Get into central areas, work it out wide, and he's in that position, as all good strikers should do, finishes it off. It was brilliant. And then Spence again. Before we talk about the goal, let's talk about some other stuff that I thought Djed Spence did really well. And if you are enjoying the video, please do make sure to like it, and please do make sure to subscribe. I thought there was a lot of good stuff that he did well. Again here, Spurs work the ball up the pitch. Out to Archie Gray. Son in there. Spence makes that underlapping run, and he's away. I love this. Again here, so aggressive to win the ball back high up the pitch. Intercepts it from Mazraoui. Wins the free kick. I thought it was really good. And then obviously we move back onto the goal. Lovely little clip ball over the top. You see Solanke here, offside position. United keeping that disciplined high line. Just drops back a touch. Martinez has to go back. Spence drops that ball over the top. Brilliant movement. And this is just excellent centre-forward play. Like, it's just absolutely superb. Anybody that is doubting Dominic Solanke, I'm just convinced, isn't really watching him. Just superb centre-forward play. Isolates Martinez, stands him up 1v1, gets inside of him, and Evans pulls the trigger into the bottom corner. Proper centre-forwards goal. The last 3 goals that he scored for Tottenham. The Chelsea one, these 2 in this game, proper centre-forwards goals. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. From Dom. And then the madness comes. Right? Archie Gray plays the ball back to Fraser Forster. And look, there was so much chat after the game yesterday, and this is why I loved Ange Postecoglou's interview, because we made 2 mistakes, and that is what allowed United in the game. If you look at the momentum bar here, from obviously fairly even first half, like I said, but around that sort of 30-minute mark, Spurs had the dominance towards the end of it. United had a few moments towards the end of the first half, but nothing really threatening. Spurs come out the traps, get those 2 goals, and it is literally this goal that creates that shift in momentum. But I think Spurs dealt with it better than we maybe thought in the ground, because naturally that anxiety is always there when you're watching it and you're seeing United come forward, and they were finding gaps and they were getting in behind us and they were creating chances and they smelt blood 100%. But we'll come on and talk about some of our box defending, because I thought we did well. But Ange's interview was so great after the game, because the narrative straight away, they used, I thought Jamie Carragher and Jamie Redknapp kind of used Fraser Forster's mistakes as kind of ammunition to prove their point about this too aggressive, too ill-disciplined style of play where we play the same way for 90 minutes and we don't change, etc. Look, it's not the best pass from Archie Gray. It's certainly not a great pass from Fraser Forster. Fernandes sniffs it and they get a goal. And then again, Gray back to Forster. He should 100% clear that earlier. Ahmed closes him down and Ahmed scores. But we invited those mistakes on ourselves. It wasn't to do with the style of play. It wasn't to do with the fact that we should stop passing back to the goalkeeper. These things can happen, and Ange said it after the game. I think that first mistake from Forster clearly affected his confidence, but that doesn't mean that you should stop playing that way and you should just start lumping it up the pitch, because although we've got Solanke, yes, there as a target man, if you just are constantly looking to clear your lines and get up the pitch, more often than not, you're kind of inviting more pressure back onto yourself, with United winning those balls in the middle of the pitch as they were doing, and then they were coming back at us anyway. So I don't think going long was necessarily helping us. So I think the narrative around the game, certainly from the Sky pundits, I thought last night was quite lazy. Obviously, as a fan in the ground, you're thinking, oh God, Tottenham, please don't do this again, as I was last night. And I think I have a different perspective on it after the game and watching it again, because I think naturally when you're going through it at the time, it's harder to, I think your natural emotions kick in as a football fan and you start thinking go long, all this kind of stuff, because you're inviting pressure on and you just have that anxiety of watching it because it's your team. But I don't think Spurs necessarily did anything wrong. It was just 2 mistakes, and I thought the analysis around our style of play after the game was pretty lazy, and I think they used these kind of mistakes as ammunition. And United obviously did have chances, I'd say. But again, I thought they were pretty half chances. Obviously, this Xerxes header came just before the first mistake. But again here, Ahmad shot from outside the box, kind of dribbly one that took a deflection out wide. Garnacho, like I said, from these kind of situations, they were doing well to get in behind us and create situations like this. But Mazraoui, again, the problems with the wing-backs, the spare man, Spurs have had that. But he cuts inside and shoots wide. Again here, Sonny losing it. I thought United's press was really aggressive. They did really regain energy, and it was hard to get out. Sometimes you also have to give credit to the opposition in terms of how they suffocated us. And that was evident when you look at the momentum bar. Obviously, they did suffocate us. They win it back off Sonny. Ahmad has a shot. And Fraser Forster just keeps it out by any means. This did make me laugh at the time, because it was like, you know when you go in goal at 5-a-side and you just don't want to dive and you don't want to use your hands and you're just going to kick it? That's certainly what I would do. Unashamedly what I would do. But actually, when you think about the sort of the bounce and the dip on it, it's probably not a bad option for Forster to take. But it wasn't as if Forster was tipping ones around the post every 5 minutes. You know, it was I wouldn't say they had the momentum and they had the better of us, but they weren't really creating. And I thought actually we were quite organised in terms of our box defending. I thought we were. Balls into the box, Dragusin heading away. I thought he was pretty colossal last night. Sarr getting there, Bissouma clearing it. Again, they're able to play through us here. And look, I think we're too narrow there. Again, Dalot, the extra man, coming inside. Spence, it's his turn to clear away. Ball comes into the box again. Sarr hammers it away. This is actually where they score from the corner, but we get it away. And before that, like I said, there was no praise for the total control that we had in the game. I thought we did this so well in that first 15-minute period of the second half in which we got 2 goals. It reminded me a lot of what we did against Aston Villa after we went 3-1 up. Just really took the sting out of the game. Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison, little triangles. Run it through here. Dragusin into Sarr, just pops it off to Bissouma. Maddison finding these little pockets of space where he can peel off Agate, and we go forward. Looking to attack, obviously. Drive forward, score more goals, kill the game off. Maddison again making a clever run like he does to get round the back of Yoro like he did for the second goal. But it allows Sonny to come back inside. Sarr just puts his foot on the ball. Bissouma out wide to Porro. Into Kulusevski. Back into Bissouma. Bissouma and Sarr just knitting things together. We go back. Bissouma gets fouled by Eriksson, but he continues driving. Maddison comes and picks it up. And then we can just go forward again. Maddison was doing this so much more in the second half. It's annoying you can't necessarily see average positions by half. But you can see Maddison, I think a lot more of these touches over here in this kind of area were starting to come a lot more in the second half, where he just had a bit more license to go and Spurs could just put their foot on the ball and play and move it around United and pull them apart and drag them out and create this kind of space. You see Spence here in the space that he's in because Spurs are being patient. Again here, Sonny into Solanke. Nice little play. Out to Son, back out wide again. Maddison makes a similar run, but it just doesn't quite come off. Maddison again here, into Bissouma. Out wide to Spence, back to Maddison. Spurs, just nice little triangles, forcing it back, creating that space again. Solanke dropping a bit deeper. Into Kulusevski here, and he tries that little Rabona. That's when you know someone like him is playing with confidence. And look, he was excellent again last night, Kulusevski. But Spurs again here at 3-0. Sarr getting in there. winning the ball back. We just were able to suffocate them. Kulusevski here, how many times did they try and kick him and take him down? It was like watching Kulusevski at Old Trafford, Agate having swipes, Martinez having swipes. They just couldn't do it. Spurs again here, winning the ball back. Bissouma getting across. Spence coming in there. Getting forward, winning the free kick. We had total control of it. We had absolute total control of it between 45 to 60 minutes, but there was no acknowledgement or recognition for that. But it is what it is. And one player that does deserve a lot of recognition for me last night was Archie Gray. I think Yves Bissouma was marginally my man of the match, but Archie Gray, again, superb. And especially in the context of when you think about what he's been asked to do. I thought his channel defending was superb when he had to come into the wide areas. I thought his box defending was good. I thought his playing out from the back was as calm as ever. Yes, he had a hand in the 2 goals. Yes, maybe you shouldn't have played it back to Fraser Forster, but these mistakes are going to happen. They're more on Forster than they're on Gray, especially the second one. Forster should just deal with it better. But it's all a bit of a learning curve for him. But for the most part, I thought he was absolutely excellent here. See a good example of his channel defending. He steps out, he's aggressive. I thought him and Dragusin at times held that line really well, and I think they're starting to form a quite nice partnership, those two. Gray here just uses his body to shield it away from Anthony and go back to the goalkeeper. Spence steps up, Gray backs him up and again wins that tackle off Anthony. Anthony had no, I mean, with all due respect, it is Anthony, but he had no joy against him whatsoever. Again here, Gray reading the situation, getting in there ahead of Højlund, who didn't have a sniff against Dragusin or Gray. But the ball does come back, Eriksen into Fernandes, and a chance then for Højlund to get away. But between Gray and Dragusin, they deal with this really well. Just bodies on the line, Dragusin does well, and he just shoves Anthony off it there using his strength. Down the left-hand side now, United work it back inside all the way back to the keeper. And again, you're going to see it with Archie Gray defending those channels. Spence steps up into more of a left midfield position. Gray says, I'll cover you, no problem. Wins the tackle. Brilliant. Superb from him. United switched the play. They had joy doing this like we said. Fernandes gets the ball across, but Gray gets his body in front of Højlund, stops him getting to it. Brilliant. Again, working out now over to this left-hand side. Mazraoui wants to put the ball down the line to Anthony, but Gray isn't having any of it. Uses his strength, gets away from Anthony, and Spurs play out. Just really, really good from Archie. Superb. And again, here under pressure. Gives Anthony the little dummy. Out to Spence. Spence comes back inside. Bissouma, a little bounce pass into Gray. Look how many players Gray's taken out of the game here. He invites Anthony onto him to press. Come and press me. Spence, there's 4 players there that between Spence and Gray and Bissouma and Maddison, they've just taken out the game. But Gray, the composure under pressure, Spence makes the run outside of him and Spurs can play out. Again here, Spurs having a little bit of difficulty with United finding players in the wide areas. Dalot gets the cut back. We saw this a few times with Eriksen getting that into these kind of situations. But Gray, box defending, body on the line, good stuff. Again here, Gray being aggressive, stepping up to Ahmad, winning it off him. Again here, Zirkzee, can you defend this situation? I'm going to try and get across you. I'm Joshua Zirkzee. No, dives in, makes a tackle. I thought Archie Gray was absolutely fantastic yesterday. And we've got a special talent on our hands. We have £40 million, I'm not sure was enough. Leeds, can we pay you more, please? England international, 100%. And I said it in a video I made earlier on TikTok. If Lee Carsley was still the England manager, when you think about his kind of approach to bringing young players into the side, I think he might be called, would potentially be called up in the next round of fixtures, but obviously it's the Tuchel era starting. He's brilliant. Versatility. And I think one thing that Ange said last night, and it applies to Gray, it applies to all these players. Spurs are getting no recognition for what we're doing with the injuries that we've got. We've had a rocky period, absolutely. The criticism, I think a lot of the criticism has been fair, but I didn't think it was last night. And I don't mind Spurs being criticised, and I don't mind Ange being criticised, and I don't think he minds it whatsoever. He's not arrogant enough to believe that he shouldn't have any criticism come his way. But do it properly. Criticise the right things. I just don't understand it last night, really. Yes, we shot ourselves in the foot. It didn't cost us in the end. We won the game. And I think one thing that Ange said is that I think these players will almost be better off for it going through this tough period, especially players like Archie Gray. Thought he was absolutely colossal last night. On to Liverpool then. Liverpool preview will be up tomorrow. I'm going out tonight. Got to have some downtime. Lads, Christmas do. So I'm not sure when it will be up tomorrow, but we will record it. I might have a sore head and a sore voice, but I will get the video out for you because I'm really looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a fascinating tactical battle, and they are our semi-final opponents, and who knows? Who knows if we could beat them? But full focus on Liverpool on Sunday in the league. really good to get back to winning ways over the last couple of games. And yeah, appreciate the support on the channel as always. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you are new, and up the Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Spurs are on the way to Wembley, aren't they? Aren't they?